This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by Denzel Bentley. Denzel, we're going to ignore the fact that we probably spent the last 15, 20 minutes talking off camera.
Yeah,
Always good to have a little catch up with yourself, though. How is everything? You all good?
yeah, I'm all good, man. I'm all good, thanks. Just me training and chilling.
Training, chilling, hoping for some fight news. Before
Yeah,
we dive
basically.
into all the big talk, what's the latest with yourself? Obviously, I think I've already interviewed you since the fight with Derek Saze, where if anyone's forgot, probably a knockout of the year contender. Um, but have you had any conversations? Has anything been put forward to you?
No, I've just been seeing that I've been made manager for the EBU, so I'm guessing that's the next step. So just looking forward to hearing, what comes off that and yeah, seeing where we go from there, really.
Obviously, you mentioned being ordered for the EBU, held by Hamzah Sheeraz, which he won a couple of weeks back now. We'll get into that later on. But we also had the news today following Janibek being allowed to keep his WBO title after having the 5 days to give reasons as to why the WBO shouldn't strip him. It's been announced that Hamzah Sheeraz has been made mandatory. So it puts Hamzah in a bit of a I'm not going to say a sticky spot. I think that's not the right. We already know what Hamzah's going to want to try and target, and the people around him want to target. But for you, do you just feel you might end up fighting for the vacant belt instead?
Listen, whatever happens, I couldn't really care less. I mean, as long as I get a shot at the European, I'm happy. I mean, the European title I've been kind of chasing since Singani, that's how you say his name, Singani had it.
Mm.
And then they
Yes.
kept knocking it back, saying cash is mandatory, so I can't fight for it until cash does, and blah blah blah. And then obviously Tyler Denny got a shot at it because he won the EBU silver title and beat Singani, and I just kind of let it go from there. But yeah, I've been made mandatory. If Hamza wants to move forward and fight for a world title, then who am I to say don't go and do that? So if I fight for a vacant belt, I don't really mind as long as I get my shot at the EBU.
Do you feel you'll be back in the ring before the end of the year? I know I asked you this last time as well, but
I want to be, but we got to see how everything pans out. I mean, we've basically got to the end of this month for everyone to kind of make a decision on what they're doing. So by the end of this month, I'll know what's going on, and I'll stay in the gym anyway. So I think if it comes to the end of the month and then we only get the news then, which I think it'll be before, but let's say no, I don't get any information to the end of the month, it will still be enough time for me to get ready for whatever I have in December.
fair enough. So we'll dive straight into things. We've got a lot to talk about from when we last spoke. We'll start off. We'll go a little bit back. September 21st, Riyadh season at Wembley. A few fights that I want to get your thoughts on that card. The first one being
Yeah,
Josh Kelly versus Ishmael Davis, a fight between two fighters who are naturally, I'd say, super welterweights, but up at middleweight. A convincing win for Josh Kelly on the night, while the scorecards didn't represent that. What did you make of Josh Kelly's performance in the ring that night?
I mean he done what he needed to do. You got to give Ishmael Davis credit for pushing that fight and trying to push the pace for 12 rounds with only 6 days notice. So I'm saying to be 12 round fit on 6 days notice, just it says a lot about you as a fighter. So gotta give him credit for that. Obviously, um, Kelly was better prepared. Obviously, he'd had a proper full camp expecting to fight Liam Smith, who in some ways people would feel like that's a more dangerous opponent. So he was well prepared, man. He was well prepared. He boxed well, moving. You know, he stayed moving, didn't really stay still at any point. Just let his hands go, and yeah, just kept his movement nice and sharp. So
Do you feel if it was Liam Smith in the ring that night with Josh Kelly, the result would have been the same and we would have seen a Josh Kelly win?
I mean, the fight would have been different. You would have had a Liam Smith who would have been prepared, who would have had enough time to get ready, as much time as Josh Kelly had to get ready, and he's had more experience than Ishmael Davis. So you probably wouldn't have seen Josh get away with so much. Liam would have cut off the ring and done a little bit more to make it hard for him, make it more challenging for him. So I'm not sure we would get the same victory, but if it's the Liam Smith that we've seen before and that we know, then it would have been a much tougher fight. But if it's a Liam Smith that was a bit worn out and past his best, which I doubt because I feel like he's a proper fighter's fighter. So yeah, it would have been probably an easier fight if he wasn't the same. Yeah.
And just on Ishmael Davis, while a defeat for him on the night, would it be fair to say that he didn't really lose anything that night? 6 days notice, up at a weight that he's not fought at for a long time. He made his debut at middleweight, but hasn't fought there since then. Stock gone up, I'd say.
100%. I mean, look, um, he would have said he took the challenge because he thought he was going to win, and I believe he did. But he got a career highest payday, man. So I mean, and you put on a good performance at a weight that you don't compete at. He hasn't lost anything apart from his O. You go back down to 154, and you put your name on the world scene. More people have seen you now. You've been exposed to more fans. So when you get down to 154, some people are just going to tune in just for the simple fact they want to see what you can do at a natural weight because of the performance he put on. So he ain't lost anything. That's one of the situations where you gain in a defeat. So yeah, man. I mean, probably give him more fuel to go out and not want to taste defeat again.
And then the next fight, a man that has been linked with your name for so many years now, Hamzah Sheeraz. A great performance from him on the night. A fight where a lot of people thought Tyler Denny might give him the toughest night so far, and Hamzah just made it look easy work. What did you make of his performance?
I didn't really make nothing of it. It was a weird one, innit? Like Tyler Denny didn't really show up. But I kept saying to you guys when you asked me like what I think of the fight, and I just kept saying to you, Tyler Denny has done very well to get to where he's got to with the the with what he has. He's done what he's done. He's gone through a little undefeated run. Listen, well done to him. He's become a European champion. But I didn't think he was on that level with Hamza anyway. I didn't think he would have gave Hamza a tougher fight than Amor Williams would have. I thought he would have gave him a tougher fight than what he gave that night, but not a tougher fight than anyone else that Hamza's really been in there with. But he just got caught on the top of the head, and it kind of rattled him a little bit, probably, and a bit of nerves as well. And he just didn't really get going, did he? But that's obviously Hamza not allowing him to get going. So yeah, man, well done to him.
And then for Hamza now, the world is, I guess you could say, the world is oyster. Obviously he could stay at European level and defend against you. He could go and challenge Janibek. Let's say if he was to challenge Janibek, 'cause if I was to ask you what would happen if you two got in the ring, I already know what you'd say. So I want to ask you about the other fight. You've shared the ring with Janibek. So if we were to see Hamzah Sheeraz versus Janibek in the near future, how would you see it going?
I think it'll be a good fight. Be a good fight. Yannick brings different challenges. He's a nice, tricky, sharp fighter. So he will feel like he knows how to handle Hamza, and I think I'm right in saying they've both sparred before um out in the States, so they will know a bit about each other, and I think it will be a good fight. I think it will be a interesting fight, a fight to definitely keep my eye on.
Just very quickly, were you able to catch a Janibek's fight on Friday morning? And if so, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I literally tuned in just as he knocked him out. I was
Oh,
training and I just realized, oh, the fight's on, and I saw the stoppage. But people were kind of messaging when I got my phone. People were kind of messaging me, you know, what was going on and stuff. So kind of got engaged. But when I got back, I watched the highlights a bit later that evening and saw he kind of, had him from the second round onwards.
do you feel that fight should have been stopped earlier from what you saw?
I mean, it could have been, but he got knocked down on the bell in the second round. What'd you do? You got to give them that chance to come back and recover. And even though he was getting tagged, he didn't really look in mad trouble from there until when he got stopped in the ninth. Maybe the corner could have pulled him out, but I mean, for the ref to stop it, there wasn't anything insinuating that the ref would have been like, nah, wave this off. His corner might have been like, look, we're not winning this fight. You just take an unnecessary punishment. Let's just save you from yourself and pull him out because it was only going one way anyway. But yeah, I don't think there was anything for the ref to just be like, oh, look, it's over. Like, stop. It's a world championship fight. So yeah.
Fair enough. And then we'll talk about the main event. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. You were one of the people that you knew what Dubois could do, but I remember
hmm
you saying that you thought he was going to be reckless and AJ was going to eventually get to him. But I think I'm right in saying that a lot of the people were wrong. I made a video for Seconds Out where we had 50 people give their predictions for AJ Dubois, and only 8 of the 50 backed Daniel Dubois going into that. But I guess you could say a dominant performance from Daniel that night. Shocked the world. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, 100% he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to go with AJ because of what he's done. You look at his track record and you just think, boom, 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 you've done that. You're obviously the favorite guy in. But then you look at Dubois and then you think, all right, you questionably, or you arguably, sorry, you arguably quit against Joyce and you arguably quit against Usyk, whatever the reasons were, you didn't continue. Like, yeah, your heart wasn't in it. You showed heart in your last 2 fights, but you showed a lot of recklessness too. Getting caught with shots, and they were just like AJ's in a new mode. He's mentally He's on point. He's looked good physically. Bearing in mind, even though his last two opponents weren't as good as Dubois' last two opponents, but he still looked sharp and clinical, and he dealt with them the way he was supposed to. Dubois was on top of fights, got caught backhands. You're gonna go, okay, cool. Look, if you weigh it out, you're gonna go AJ. But I said I seen Daniel just ice guys out, like laying him out, 20-ounce gloves off, in sparring with head guard, everything. So I knew how powerful he was. But obviously you'd be like, no, listen, AJ's been hit before, like he can take it and then move on. But he just boxed the wrong fight that night. And I'm not saying if he boxed the right fight, he might have won. It could have been the same way, or probably just, lasted a bit longer. But he boxed the wrong fight. I mean, trying to fight Daniel Dubois with your hands slightly low ain't the right move. He was open to a lot of shots. You're going back in a straight line with your head in the air. You're asking for your chin to get checked. And then I think after that knockdown, he didn't really get his head together. Everything was just a bit more like on instinct. So yeah, man, credit to Dubois, man. He done what he needed to do. Clinical, powerful, explosive, and yeah, man. What else can I say, man? He done his thing.
Just before we talk more on Daniel Dubois and what the future holds for him, a lot of talk has been about Anthony Joshua's future. Him, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, they're all adamant that he'll fight on. But a lot of the fans have been saying that could be AJ's time up at the top. What do you think Anthony Joshua should do next?
I mean, I think he should do what his heart feels he should do. I think he should just follow his heart. And if he feels like he can still box, he's still young enough and fresh enough to go on. Who am I to say no, man? He's given us some great nights. He's put British boxing on his shoulder. He's the reason why a lot of fighters today are getting paid so much money. Even on a domestic scale, he was the first fighter to break through that Saudi, not down that Saudi door. And when he came into British boxing it's been better ever since. I mean, before he came, the odd fights will get recognition, but now it's just like there's so much more room for everyone, even media, so much more media outlets. Before it was just IFL TV before the rest of them started coming through, and a lot of boxing was going on in America. You'd have to go to America to kind of make it in boxing. Now you can make it here on your doorstep, and I think that's all because of Anthony Joshua. So I don't know why everyone's in a rush for him to leave the sport. If he feels healthy and he's not slurring and he still feels fresh and he feels the hunger to carry on, I'd love to be at some of those big nights that the big shows that he puts on for us. But in more of like a not selfish way, well, selfish for AJ, I'd say he waits to see what happens with Fury Usyk. If Fury loses, Fury AJ does 100,000 in Wembley, whether it has a title in the line or not, whether it has a title in the line or not, and then just ride off into the sunset and just be like, I'm retired now, both of them, and then we'll see how many big nights we get. Now that he's gone, and maybe the disrespect will stop or slow down at least. But yeah, man, whatever his heart desires, I want to see him do. Because if he boxes, I'll be tuning in, and if he doesn't, I'll just appreciate his career and what he's done for British boxing.
I think that's probably one of the best assessments of AJ's future I've heard. So fair play to yourself for that one.
Yeah.
Just one thing about AJ's corner, Ben Davison has been getting a lot of stick at the moment from fans around the world, in particular for the advice of roll the dice at the end of the fourth round. What did you make of that advice?
I'll be honest, I was a bit critical of that myself, but at the end of the day, it's a fight, innit? And in the heat of the moment, you want to try different things. And if what they spoke about before wasn't working, it's like, listen, nothing's working, bro. Like, it's not, for whatever reason, whatever I'm telling you to do isn't working. I can't, I'm telling you this, we can't get it off. He's countering that, he's countering this. He's got your number right now. We just have to fucking roll the dice. We just have to try our luck, try something, and let's get this guy to get the fuck off us. Let's push him back. And that's what you done, innit? Like, you go into a mode where it's like basically having a shuttle bus round. Yep, shuttle bus. If you go out this round and you ain't giving me something, I'm pulling you out. That's basically what it was. Like, yo, look, listen, go out there, roll the dice, do something. Just give me something. Try and get this guy off you and this, get back in this fight. And it went the other way. But look, he got praised for everything. He got praised for, helping AJ turn a new leaf and get back to his physical best and get mentally right. And, rightly so, he done all that. But if you got to take a bit of criticism along the way because something went wrong, then so be it. You got the praise for it. There's always a bad side to wherever good is happening. So if you got the praise for it, take the criticism. I'm not saying he deserves the disrespect or whatever, because the fight's a fight. Dubois was gonna do what he was gonna do, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But and I also think I watched the clip on YouTube from TNT about the corner work, and I just feel like it was the experience of Don Charles versus the what can I say the technicality or what's the right word I'm looking for? Experience of Don Charles versus Ben Davison's.
Would you say more of the analysis and the film watching that they do?
That's it. Yeah,
And it's not
basically, yeah.
necessarily natural experience, it's just
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
basing
it's
it
a
off
lot
what
of
you've seen.
studying, a lot of studying and
Yeah.
education, a lot of that. So it was the experience versus studying and film watching, and let's see what we can find here. And then Don Charles just, he knew how to get his fighter riled up, and Ben Davison didn't, in the sense of like, how do you get to his heart? What makes him stand up and be like, oh, let's go for a fight? Do you know what I mean? It was more like, listen, we got to try this and try that. But yeah, man, fair play to him, man. He done wonders to turn his career around. Let's see if we can pick him back up and go again.
Would you say that Anthony Joshua and Ben Davison are probably the most critiqued fighter and trainer partnership in British boxing? Not just right now, but I guess you could say all time. So a lot of people believe with how much stick they've got, they've never seen
That's
for those before.
that's a good shout, and I think you might. I think they are. I think they are. But that just says a lot. That just says that that just shows how much success they've had and how successful they are. Because if no one's talking about you, then no one really cares, do they?
Mm,
Everyone cares about what their next step is because they're the most popping in it out
yeah.
of fighters and trainers right now. They're the most popping. They're the ones that are getting all the attention and doing all these things and doing well for themselves. So everyone, people can't wait for them to make a mistake so they can start criticizing, saying, "See, look at this person and that person." But when someone else makes a mistake, no one has a word to say because no one cares. So you got to take that as a compliment. Like, yeah, you lot are waiting for me to slip up, so because I'm doing so well. So I guess you could take it as a compliment, even though it's hard. But yeah,
And for Daniel Dubois, again, like what I said about Hamzah Sheeraz earlier, the world is his oyster now. If he wasn't recognised as an IBF world champion before, he certainly is now. Out of
most
all those
definitely.
names out there, including an Anthony Joshua rematch, who would you like to see Daniel Dubois in the ring with next?
Do you know what's mad? I just saw something on the circular about Martin Bakoli versus Caballero for an
Yes.
eliminator. I think the winner of that would be a good fight because Martin Bakoli is dangerous and he's kind of made that name for himself after the Anderson fight, even though in Britain we knew, he was a handful. He just never got the opportunities because he probably doesn't sell as much or he's not a big draw.
Yeah.
But Caballero is also someone that's been like underrated for a long time. I remember Chisora fought him for the European title and I'd never really seen much of him, so I was expecting Chisora to win. And then he beat Chisora and then kind of went missing for long. And then he fought that big heavyweight guy that looks like he's from Game of Thrones. Looks like he's out of Game of
Oh, Mark
Thrones.
Mudov. Mark Mudov.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought, yeah, he should beat Caballero just because I've seen this guy's career and he's been icing everyone. Caballero broke him down, body shots. He just beat him up. And I thought, wow. And then I didn't realize Caballero was still undefeated. And I was like, no, this Caballero's a problem. I remember him from Chisora saying he's going out to fight him for the EBU. And I think he had another fight after that. Caballero had another fight after that.
Frank Sanchez.
Frank Sanchez. And I thought, yeah, Sanchez is a bad boy. And he beat up Sanchez as well. I think he stopped him, right?
Yeah, he stopped him in the seventh.
And I was like, what? I was at, I think I was at the Sanchez fight because Ellis was boxing that day. Or was it the other fight? No, it was the Game of Thrones
Mark
guy. I was at
Mudov
one of the
was
fights.
Mark Mudov because that was on the Day of Reckoning, December 23rd,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
And
yeah,
Ellis
yeah.
fought
So it was
up
him.
title.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was Caballero versus Game of Thrones. And I thought, wow, this is mad. And then when he fought Sanchez and stopped Sanchez, I was like, oh my days, Caballero's a problem. So that's a good fight. Caballero versus Bakoli is a good fight. So I'd like to see the winner of that fight Dubois. I think that would be a good fight still.
Who do you think wins between Bacoli and Caballero then?
I'm not writing up Caballero again, still, I'm not gonna lie. So I don't know. I'm sitting on the fence because Martin Bakoli is a handful. He's a big guy. He's growing as he's fighting. I think he's nearly like 300 pounds now. Long arms, good
Mm,
power, doesn't really force his shots. Everything just looks so effortless and smooth with him, but it carries a lot of power. And
mm.
Caballero, every time I thought someone was gonna beat him, he's battered them. So I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't picking the winner in this one still.
And just moving forward, this weekend, we see Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol.
Big fight.
Probably the best fight in boxing this year. Like I said to you off camera, if there was any Riyadh season card I've wanted to be at, I know I've wanted to be at all of them. I've probably said it to everyone I've spoke to, but this is the one that I wanted to be at. Unfortunately, I'm
Yeah.
still sat in. I'm not even going to say sunny Nottingham because it's not even sunny anymore. I'm sat here, but I'm just excited for it to be like everyone else. When you look at these two styles that Bivol and Beterbiev possess,
Yeah.
who do you think will be the stronger man on the night and come out on top?
I'm going Beterbiev, man. I'm going Beterbiev.
Do you believe he stops Bivol?
I think he can. I think that's how he beats him, really. I don't think it's outboxing Bivol. I, it's so mad because like in the last couple of days, I've been watching Beterbiev a little bit more closely now. Um, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Really?
A lot of mistakes. And I'm like, you get away with this because you're so powerful. And Bivol is such a clean fighter. He's just such a clean fighter. His straight shots are solid. His straight
Yeah.
work is his best work, really and truly. He'll for the 1-2, bounce out, 1-2, throw a hook. And he's just so active, throws a lot of punches, good straight work. And it's kind of really hard to get away from straight work. When someone's throwing straight punches at you, it's kind of hard to, you know, get out of the way all the time. And he's very effective with it, and his movement is good. But I just think at some point in this 12 round fight, Beterbiev is going to close that gap and land his shots. And I think when he does, it's going to hurt Bivol. And because it's hurt everyone, and no one's been able to withstand his power. And he cuts off the ring really well. He kind of suffocates that space. He makes you feel like the ring is small, but Bivol will make you feel like the ring is massive or the ring's massive for him. You can't catch him
Mm.
because his movement is so good. So when he's on the move, you can't get nowhere near him. And it's not like he's running and he's bouncing around. He's just in and out, in and out. And he can make a ring massive, and Beterbiev can make a ring so small. So it'll be good to see who can get off their kind of fighting style best. But I think at some point in this fight, Beterbiev is going to close that gap, catch him in the corner, and let his hands go. And that's when he's going to hurt him.
Are you set on stone with that British? Because a lot of the people I've spoke to, and when I've spoke to my friends about this and said like they'll ask me like, "Oh, Josh, this better be a Bivol fight's happening this weekend. Who do you think's going to win?" It's so hard to try and explain to people who you think's going to win because it's that close of a fight.
Yeah.
Are you confident with Beterbiev?
I'm not confident, but if I was going to put money on, I'm putting money on Beterbiev. So
Oh, fair enough.
I'm, yeah, I'm that kind of confident. I'm not like, yeah, it's a done deal. It's never a done deal. If Bivol won, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
But I just think Beterbiev style is going to be Bivol style, basically.
And just one fight on the undercard that I want to get your thoughts on. Fabio Wardley,
Yeah,
Frazer Clarke too. We all remember how good that first fight was back in March on his
yeah.
day. They run it back this weekend. Who do you think comes out on top this time? Or do you think it could be a draw again?
Oh, I hope it's not a draw again. That'd be horrible for both of them to go through all of that to get another draw. Yeah, forget a rematch. But I don't know, man. In the first fight, I had Wardley just because of how I felt Clarke was, and Clarke showed me something that night. He showed me that he's willing to dig deep and go through the trenches. And I was at the first one. That was a good fight, man.
Mm.
That was a good fight still. And with I know the rounds were close in between, but with the knockdown and the point taken off by Clarke, I thought Wardley might have got the decision. Ended up a draw. Can't complain about that. We get to see it again, but I think they're both gonna have to go through some dark places to get the victory, man. It's not gonna be easy. Wardley's nose looks like it hasn't really healed properly, so that might go again. He knows he can hurt Clarke, so he might try to step on him earlier and you know like if he puts him down earlier, then he might be able to step the pace up and put him on again. But it's a good fight, man. It's a really good fight, and all I can say is I'm looking forward to it, man. It's a good fight. The whole card, I think the whole card is good. The whole card is good. Yeah, the whole card is good.
Do you feel that Wardley Clarke 2 is just going to be, I guess you could say, a copy and paste of the first fight? Do you feel it's going to play out like that again?
Yeah. None of these guys are gonna start trying to box and move and try. No, they might be a little bit smart about the work, but it's gonna end up in the fight. They're both guys with pride, big egos. Wardley's thinking, "You're not taking my belts off me," and Frazer's probably thinking, "Hey, listen, I'm a Olympian, Olympic medalist. I can't let no white collar guy come and beat me." Even though after the first fight, I've seen a little bit more respect. Like, you know what? I said he was a white collar guy, he shouldn't have beat me, and he done his thing. So I think Clarke's gonna go in there with a bit more Like, just he's just gonna make sure he can't get beat by this guy. And Fabio's not giving up his titles that easy. So we're getting in another war, to be honest. That's how I see it.
And then very lastly, the last thing I want to ask you about, we saw the announcement last night, Fury versus Usyk 2. The undercard has been announced.
Yeah.
What do you make of the undercard as a whole? Again, heavily criticized.
You know what? Yeah, we've been spoiled in it. We've been spoiled as boxing fans in
Yeah.
it. And once you give us something, you can't take it away.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, hey, come on, man, we was enjoying that. How can you take it away? Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
this undercard on a show back home in the UK is a good card.
Yeah.
It's a good
Very
card.
good card.
But because of what we've been getting from Riyadh season, we've been getting main event fights every card on the undercard, and that's what we're expecting um the Riyadh season cards.
Mm.
And even saying that, you can look at this card and they can still headline in their own right, but maybe on a smaller scale. Do you know what I mean? Like the Wembley card, almost. I'm gonna go as far as to say every fight on there could have probably headlined the O2.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
or the copper box.
Yeah.
Sheeraz is becoming a star in his own right in the UK for the European title. That could have been a co-main event at the O2 or headline the copper box at least versus Tyler Denny. Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson
Washington.
could have headlined the O2, especially after Hutchinson beat Richards, because
Yeah.
Richards and Buatsi headlined the O2. Um, who else was on that card?
Kakashi versus Warrington
Kakachi versus Warrington with the headline and lead somewhere,
or
wherever
Belfast.
like where he's from. Yeah, or Belfast, because that's where they're both from. It could have headlined that. And there was one more fight before that.
Kelly versus Davis.
Kelly versus Davis could have headlined in his own right too. I'm not saying it would have all got paid a madness or would have sold out 20,000, but it would have headlined on a decent scale with a good undercard that would have been on TV, and we would have enjoyed that. In this case with this card, some of these fights can. You got Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. We're all questioning Dave Allen's fitness because the last time we actually saw him was against Frazer Clarke and it was pretty poor. But Johnny Fisher's is a fighter that's coming through. He's doing his thing. They're trying to guide him correctly. He's a guy that he can probably set out, half of the copper box on his own on a good card. Do you know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
to be
So if it
fair,
was,
in Johnny Fisher's last fight, to his fairness, he sold out the copper box last time against
oh, there
Babbitt.
we go then. Yeah. So there we go then. So if he was to fight Dave Allen at the copper box, he's setting that out.
Mm.
McGregor versus Isaac Lowe probably wouldn't sell out copper box, but it's a good fight in its own scale. Probably one of these, not a small venue, but a smaller venue than the copper
When
box
when
in
they
their
first
hometown where
got
they're
set
from.
to fight McGregor and Lowe, it was set to headline in
The
Bolton.
headline, yeah, in Bolton, isn't it? Yeah, so that could headline Bolton. I remember that. And then was it Lowe that got injured?
McGregor got injured.
Oh, McGregor got injured and Lowe boxed someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lowe boxed someone else on that card. So that was going to headline in Bolton. I don't know the capacity, but that could have headline there. Dennis McCann and Peter McGrail, that's a good fight. That's a very good fight. But in terms of headlining the venue, I don't know the popularity thing. I know Dennis McCann is, he's
Maybe
a good
somewhere in
fighter.
Liverpool. We've seen McGrail headline before in Liverpool. Do you reckon?
Yeah, probably on like a not a 20,000 venue, but like a 5,000 whatever venue. It could.
Yeah.
So I guess in this right, it could. But before we're having fights that can sell at copper box or be a big O2 card. That's why. And it's like it's still a decent card. It's not the best out of the Riyadh seasons, but it's still a decent card. Oh, forget that. Moses versus McKean is a good fight as
I
well.
was literally about to ask you about that. I was literally
That's a
about to
good
mention
fight
that.
as well. I saw that and I was like, who did McKean lose to? Has he lost? Did he lose
Hergovic.
to Game of Thrones? Oh, Hergovic.
Lost to Hergovic in the 12th
I remember
round.
that fight. Was that the O2?
Yeah, AJ
They got a
Helenius
bit
in the
scrappy at the
card.
end. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Hergovic. That's the only person he's lost to. I mean, Hergovic is a world class fighter. That's a big step up for Moses Utama. Do you know what I mean? That's a good fight. So I think we're kind of underrating that card a little bit because we've been spoke so much.
Hmm.
Because McKean Utama, we're going to see how good Utama is. Because we know McKean, is a decent fighter. McCann versus McGrail. After McGrail's last performance, to stop Brad Foster like that, I mean, I don't know if he's been stopped before, but I've never seen someone beat him so convincingly. And Dennis McCann, his last fight, coming back to beat my man that he beat Beluta for the European and that quality performance. That's a good fight. And then you got Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. That's the only fight. I'm like, yeah, but Johnny Fisher, I like Johnny Fisher, but I don't know if Dave Allen is a worthy enough opponent just because of his inactivity, not because of Dave Allen, because of his inactivity.
Do you
And
believe
then
if
obviously,
we get a fully fit Dave Allen, he can give Johnny Fisher his toughest test yet?
I don't. I think Dave Allen is past the. Dave Allen's not hungry no more, so
Mm.
we ain't gonna get a Dave Allen that's gonna come and try and cause problems. We got a no disrespect, but I feel like we got a Dave Allen that's like, yeah, look, I'm in boxing to get paid. That's what it is. I'm gonna go there and do the best I can. That's the Dave Allen I think we got. But for Johnny Fisher's career, great step up, great little move for him in Saudi. Do your thing, bro. I ain't no hater, but as a fan, that's the only fight I'm least interested in. And then obviously you got McGregor. And no, I'm probably least interested in McGregor low. Let me not lie. McGregor low, I'm probably least interested in that. And then this thing, and then the other ones I'm interested in. But I'm
Just
interested for Johnny Fisher. I'm happy for Johnny Fisher, just not
mm.
that contest. Yeah.
Just lastly, then, word on the main event. Obviously, Usyk versus Fury 2.
Hey, you
Sure.
can't question that. That's our big main event. That card, if that was in the UK, you'd have a bunch of four rounders and then that and that main event. You're not getting
True.
no
Very true.
title
Very
fights and that. You know
true.
what I'm saying? So we can't be too spoiled for choice because we would have had a bunch of six rounders, eight rounders, and then the main event, or one title fight and then the main event because it would have cost too much.
Yeah.
So what are we complaining for? We're not paying. What I mean, we are paying for it on the screen and that, but we're not paying the fighters out of our pocket. Like, yep, here, take a meal, bro, and you can fight this guy or take 400. I'm not losing 400 grand for that. So what am I complaining for? Enjoy the show. But that main event's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Who do you think wins in the rematch?
I'm going to go Usyk again. Just because I feel like if you're going to beat Usyk, your best chance is the first time round.
True.
Now he knows what you possess. He knows exactly what to do to beat you.
Do
Because
you
we saw AJ come the second time, even though he was better the second time, he still wasn't good enough.
do you feel Fury could change a few things in his approach and possibly get to?
100%. We've seen Fury fight loads of different ways before. We've seen him going backwards. We've seen him hold his feet. We've seen him go forward. We've seen him spoil your work and be a bit dirty. And you know what I'm saying? When he needs to, you've seen him be fleet-footed and switch. And I think this time Fury's going to come forward and try and oppose his will and his size and be a bit of a bully. But he's got to be very careful because Usyk's not just going to fall for that and try and wrestle him back. He's going to have good movement. He's going to have good movement throughout all the fight. So Fury's got to be careful coming forward if that's what he's going to do.
Well, Denzel, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this evening. It's always good to catch up, and hopefully we see
That's
you
what, bro.
back in the ring. I'm sure we'll probably end up speaking again before next time we see fight news. I'll probably end up hitting you up for your Beterbiev reaction because I
Yeah,
want to get a reaction from you from that straight away. So
cool. I'll be
we'll see.
working that night with TNT anyway, so you might have to get me after.
I'll catch you on the pay-per-view then. Well, not actually see you there, but I'll be watching. I'll be watching.
Nice
Denzel,
one.
thank you very much for talking sense.
Cheers, bro. That's